Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And today I want to talk about an incident that happened back in 2012 when Guns N' Roses was touring Europe. They were playing all across Europe, and one of their stops was in Russia. And Axl had an incident in Russia that actually made the news around the world. So Guns N' Roses played 2 shows in Moscow in May of 2012. So according to a Russian website called Pravda, Axl Rose apparently hurt his leg when he fell off of a table while dancing at the Premier Lounge in Moscow. So Rose and his band were celebrating the start of their 2012 European tour with 2 shows in the Russian capital. So a lot of times what happens is bands will play Europe. They'll normally start in Western Europe and go all the way east and then play their final shows in Russia. But this one was a little bit different, maybe because of where Los Angeles is geographically to Russia. They started the tour in Russia and then they went west from that point on. So according to news sources, the Guns N' Roses singer tweeted this picture of his severely bruised leg with the caption saying, "Can you say hematoma?" And here's the picture he ended up tweeting, which is kind of surprising for Axl because he's always been known to be a pretty private person. So thankfully, Rose was set to make a full recovery and Guns N' Roses were set to play a number of shows throughout the rest of Europe. So this leg of the tour that Guns N' Roses were doing in 2012 was a lot different than some of their past tours. So this tour really kicked off around the time of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So even though the induction ceremony didn't happen until like February or March of 2012, this tour kicked off in February of 2012. So as you guys know, Axl and Dizzy Reed were both no-shows at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. And this tour was called the Up Close and Personal Tour. So it was a 2012 North America and European concert tour that Guns N' Roses did, and it was first hinted by Guns N' Roses guitarist Bumblefoot on January 20th. So he talked about a possible theater tour taking place in February, and Guns N' Roses, of course, later announced some shows in the United States. The shows themselves varied considerably in comparison to some of the previous tours that Guns N' Roses had done to support Chinese democracy. So all of the North America shows took place in much smaller scaled-down clubs rather than large arenas and stadiums. All the pyrotechnics were also removed from the shows. Now, my guess is that Guns N' Roses had toured North America so many times that they were probably going to have trouble selling tickets in some of these markets, so they chose to do a scaled-down club tour. The European leg of the tour began approximately 1 month after the band's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and around this time, the circumstances regarding a follow-up album to Chinese Democracy were unknown. However, legendary and Guns N' Roses guitarist DJ Ashba stated that the band had many demos recorded and were planning on discussing how they were going to create the best album possible. So on June 24th, 2012, guitarist Richard Fortus gave an interview to a French music site, Rock and Live, in which he revealed that the band would not tour anymore that year, but would rather go into the studio to work on their next album and have it done by the end of the year. Right now, I'm very focused on Guns N' Roses. We are preparing ourselves to return to the studio, so that is why I want to stay focused. That's all I think by the end of the year. So the lineup remained approximately the same since the 2008 release of Chinese Democracy. Co-founder Axl Rose, of course, fronted the band, which along with long-term keyboardist Dizzy Reed and Chris Pittman, they also had newcomer and legendary guitarist DJ Ashba. Ron Bumblefoot Tall were the lead guitarist, and rhythm section consisted of Richard Fortus on rhythm guitar and Tommy Stinson on bass and Frank Farrar on drums. Now, GNR also had a number of supporting acts on this tour, some of which are pretty well known. Thin Lizzy supported them. Black Spiders did. Rival Sons, who just recently supported Guns N' Roses in Europe this past summer. Sebastian Bach, Killswitch Engage, Ugly Kid Joe, Blackstone Cherry, No One Is Innocent. The Cult even supported Guns N' Roses for one date, as did The Darkness, who also opened for Guns N' Roses quite recently in Europe. So that does it for this episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you guys actually went and checked out Guns N' Roses when they went out on this tour back in 2012. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts, and make sure you guys go check out GNRCentral.com for the latest and greatest Guns N' Roses news. Take care.